Well, thank you to Terry and her daughter Caitlin, who is down from Fairfield University in Fairfield, Connecticut. Thank you for making the trip, to both of you, and to Allison Crowthers, who will be speaking shortly. And to everyone who is here, I want to really say a thank you to every one of you for being here. Your presence, your face, your voice are just so valuable. Caitlin is taking courses on political science and communication. Today is a teaching moment in citizen activism. Today is a teaching moment in people making a difference and having their voices heard. And your voices are more powerful than anything I could say. The strength and courage of the families who lost loved ones on 9/11 are really what drives this effort. 15 years ago, living through the horror of 9/11, our hearts were broken, but not our ideals or national resolve. And one of those core ideals is the rule of law and justice. That's what makes our country different. We believe that individual rights deserve protection, and every individual deserves a day in court. And that is the objective of this measure that was passed overwhelmingly, in fact, unanimously, Republicans and Democrats joining together, and by both houses of our Congress. And I am indebted to our leadership on both sides of the aisle. Senator Schumer and Senator Cornyn have helped to lead this effort. I've been privileged to work with them as a team, and they would be here today but for a scheduling conflict. The basic objective here is to hold accountable wrongdoers and lawbreakers and evildoers, because that is the rule of law. Now, behind that overarching, seemingly abstract ideal is a loophole in the law. And it's a modest loophole. The loophole is that a foreign actor or agent can commit an atrocity in this country but be immune from any kind of legal accountability if the aiding and abetting is done outside our boundaries. That's basically what may well be shown in a court of law about the Saudi agents or operatives who aided and abetted the 9/11 terrorists. There's a basic principle here. If a foreign agent or actor gives a bag of money or a ton of explosives to someone who then does harm in our country, and it happens outside the country, there still should be legal accountability. That's a loophole that Congress never intended. That's really an important principle. Congress, in my view, never intended for that kind of loophole to exist, and it's totally the result of courts making decisions that are contrary to Congress's intent. Unfortunately, the leading one is in my part of the country, the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, and we want to correct that loophole in the law. To take an analogy, if another country launched a missile from its borders, within its borders, if another country launched a missile from its soil that blew up an American citizen, nobody would say, well, that's okay because they did it within their own borders. And the same principle applies here. A foreign government that aids and abets an act of terror that does harm in our country should be held accountable, even if those actions occurred outside our borders. I want to deal with the reasons given to oppose this measure. And I want to say with great respect to the President of the United States that he has a different perspective. he conducts our nation's diplomacy. I respect him and his office and his reasons for opposing this measure. But I disagree strongly and powerfully with those reasons. If the Saudi government is innocent, it has nothing to fear from a day in court. If it is culpable, it should be held accountable. This legislation makes no prejudgment. It reaches no verdict. It simply says that the Saudi government or its agents or its operatives or any other foreign actor has to be in court to defend itself. And there'll be a neutral public forum which applies to everyone else and to other countries, not just the Saudi government, to other agents and operatives, not just the Saudis. And there is mounting evidence revealed in the 28 pages, kept secret for so long, about potential Saudi complicity. So I'm urging the President, as I did in a letter with my colleague Senator Schumer about 10 days ago, to sign this measure. And I believe that there are now and there will be well more than the necessary votes to override this measure. It was unanimously passed, and I believe it will be overwhelmingly approved again if need be. But I hope we can avoid that eventuality, and that the President will sign this measure, and that he will make clear in signing it that we have nothing to fear, because the United States would never support or sponsor terrorists who did what those evildoers accomplished on 9/11. Just as the Saudis have nothing to fear if they are innocent, the United States has nothing to fear because we do not engage in that kind of terrorist activity.